All right, we're moving on to the Society medals, and I know our presenters and winners, who are extraordinary people, are going to model for you how to give an inspired yet concise summary of their work. So, Miriam, you're on first. We're moving on first to the Bailey K. Ashford Medal, which honors distinguished work in tropical medicine. And this year we have 3 Ashford Medal recipients. So for the first Ashford Medal, Miriam Laufer is going to take the stage to present to Shannon Takala Harrison. Sorry.
I thought I had special dispensation to talk for half an hour. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So I have been waiting for a long time to give Shannon this medal, even before I knew it existed. Shannon was born in Alaska and moved to New Mexico in childhood. She always knew she had big shoes to fill. She got her bachelor's degree at Brigham Young University and then worked at the CDC, where she first fell in love with malaria. And she came to the University of Maryland to work with Chris Plow to do malaria genetics research. That's where I met her when I was starting as a pediatric infectious disease fellow, a year that will never be stated publicly. What you might not know about Shannon is that she's a classical cellist and a not-so-classical rocker. In a pretty short period of time, Shannon has emerged as a leader in our malaria research program at the University of Maryland and a real superstar mentor. Here's a picture of when we're doing our very, very dangerous lab work. We sometimes have to put on helmets. So just to briefly summarize the work that Shannon has contributed to the field, she started out doing parasite genetics and explored the dynamics of antigen diversity and how it affects malaria vaccine development. We take it for granted now, but Shannon was one of the first people to help us recognize the importance of allele-specific efficacy. When it became clear that genetics was not enough, she became a leader in genomics. She really took the lead in our group in that and helped to establish the genomic basis of both artemisinin resistance and partner drugs. And she's taken it a step further now, where she's actually tracing the migration of both parasites and humans throughout the greater Mekong region to understand how artemisinin resistance emerges and spreads. Now, here's your chance to learn a little bit about Shannon that you don't know. She has an amazing family, and with her today are Chad, Bruce, and Isaac. As you can see, she's raising the next generation of international researchers. They are comfortable in the lab. They travel light. You know, we often have heard the phrase, "it takes a village to raise a child," and Shannon is famous for saying in our lab that it takes a village to raise a scientist. And in her role as a member of the village, Shannon takes her job very seriously. And in return, her village fully supports her. Cheering her on here today is the Malaria Research Program, Center for Vaccine Development, past and present. There they are. And not only is her immediate family here today, but she also has with her her parents from New Mexico, Chad's parents from Delaware, all here to support their favorite malariologist. So Shannon, I want to say something in front of everyone here, and especially in front of the boys, so now is the time to pay attention. Shannon, your devotion and sincere commitment to the people and the causes that you hold dear inspire me every day and inspire everyone around you. Thank you for giving that to us, and congratulations on this well-deserved award.
Thank you, Miriam, and thanks to the Society for this great honor. I'd like to express my gratitude to mentors, past and present, formal and informal, to talented and dedicated trainees and staff, to collegial and generous collaborators, to this engaging scientific community, and especially to my loving and supportive family. Thank you for making it possible for me to be a part of this meaningful work. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Laufer. Nice model speech, and congratulations, Dr. Takala Harrison. Our second Ashford Medal recipient this year is Sharon Tennant. Will Mike Levine please come to the stage to present to Dr. Tennant?
Sorry. Will the slides advance by themselves? It's advanced. Sharon's on now. You can see the slide right there. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's with great pride and pleasure that I tell you a bit about Sharon Tennant. Sharon was born and raised in Australia. This is forward. Okay. She came from the Department of Microbiology of the University of Melbourne, the foremost department of micro and immunology in Australia, where a long colleague of ours, Professor Roy Robbins Brown, would periodically identify a special individual and say that he'd like to send this individual for postdoctoral training and vice versa. Sharon got her PhD in 2005. She won a prestigious fellowship, spending 2 more years in Melbourne, and then came to the University of Maryland's Center for Vaccine Development as a fellow. She was an extraordinary fellow in that she seemed like an assistant professor. She had a maturity and a vision and a knowledge set that was truly beyond the norm. She became a faculty member in 2010 and rapidly rose through the ranks to assistant professor and associate professor, and became chief of the molecular diagnostic microbiology section of the CVD. Sharon has made accomplished contributions in 4 separate areas, each of which would be a source of honor in their own right. The first was in molecular diagnostics for Salmonella. The second is in studying the pathogenesis of non-typhoidal Salmonella. The third is in using the pathogenesis knowledge to make attenuated live oral non-typhoidal Salmonella vaccines, and to create a new type of vaccine development called reagent strains, where she engineers strains to create antigens that allow the development of non-living vaccines to be made much more easily and economically. As a fellow attending the Invasive International Salmonella meeting in Nairobi, she introduced one of her molecular assays into the laboratory of Dr. Sam Karaoke. Another thing about Sharon is her love of animals. Next slide, please. Whoops. Including wild game and including domestic animals. In the slide, you will see Sharon's very, very active lab group. She is one of the most popular mentors in the Center for Vaccine Development. And you will also see Sharon's daughter, Zara, jet-lagged, husband, Raja. It's really been a pleasure to have Sharon and watch her mature as a scientist. She has more than 70 publications already. She is the recipient of many grants, and I am so proud of her.
Thank you, Mike. I'd like to thank ASTMH for this honor. I'd like to thank Mike for nominating me, all my friends and colleagues at CVD for their support, my parents for their encouragement, and my husband Raja and my daughter Zara, who are sitting at the front there, for all their love and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Levine, and congratulations, Dr. Tennant. For the final Ashford Medal, will Nick Day please come to the stage to present to Joel Tarning?
It gives me enormous pleasure to be able to present to you the third of the Bailey Ashford medals. The awardee is Joel Tarning, who has, as you can see from this, there we go, this mini CV, has been with us in the Mahidol Oxford Tropical Medicine Research Unit out in Thailand, on and off, since about 2004, actually. I think you visited when you were a PhD student. He's originally from Sweden, but he likes surfing. And in fact, we're very lucky to have him with us because he was caught up in the terrible events of 2004, the tsunami that hit Thailand at that time. He was on Koh Phi Phi. Anyway, it didn't put him off. He came to Thailand. He actually did becoming interested in mathematical modeling, and that was the basis of his career, pharmacometrics. He did also indulge in some other forms of modeling as well while he was a young postdoc. And I do remember driving through Bangkok and seeing a 30-meter high picture of Joel very suavely dressed from top to bottom of a skyscraper. So anyway, but those days are far behind him. As you can see, he has had a very storied career. If I can just draw your attention to the years from 2014 to 2016, his outputs and contributions were such that on an annual basis he produced enough to justify promotion year on year from University Research Lecturer, which he first attained in 2014, to Associate Professor the next year, and then Full Professor the year after. So that was 9 years after getting his PhD. So it's pretty impressive, and it reflected a quite extraordinary research output and also his research leadership. He's got a team of about 30 dedicated staff in his laboratory. This laboratory, clinical pharmacology laboratory in Bangkok, is, I think it's fair to say, recognized as one of the world's leading tropical medicine pharmacology laboratories. His personal interest is in pharmacometrics, particularly of anti-malarial drugs, and you can see here that he's contributed to important changes in the guidelines for the treatment of children with uncomplicated and also severe malaria, because he showed that they were being systematically underdosed before. And that's reflected in the 2015 guidelines that you can see here. So I think that almost certainly this has had a big impact already on outcomes in the field. So Joel, I'd like you to come on up. It's been an absolute privilege and honor to have known you as a friend and colleague over the past 15 years. Very glad you survived the tsunami. I'm very glad that none of those photographs from your modeling career back in 2004 survive, and your modeling career since has done us all proud, and it's with great pleasure that I give you this. Very richly deserved. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Nick, and my sincere thank you to ASTMH and the award committee for this prestigious medal. It's a real honor. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all my mentors, but particularly my long-term mentors at Moru, Professors Nick Day and also Professor Nick White, who's not here today, for their continuous support since I arrived in 2004 as a PhD student, and for throughout my career since 2007 at Moru. But of course, science is a teamwork, and I would like to thank all my colleagues at Moru and also at Warren for their support and teamwork, and of course my family for their continuous support. Thank you.